Hi everyone, this is Rene with the American School of Hypnosis, and welcome to Everything Hypnosis Live. And tonight we're going to be speaking about my favorite NLP techniques, and I'm going to go through them, and you could even do them with me at the same time if you like. So let's go ahead and talk about my favorite NLP techniques. Now, this one here is going to be for people who have problems with bullies or intimidating people. Think about that. Anything that doesn't even have to be a person. Could be a situation, place, whatever that intimidates you, or that you feel like they bully you. It could be at school, at work. So how many of you have situations like that you want to work on tonight? Or you can do this with your clients as well. Now, we're going to be doing I guess you could say a combination of techniques that I want to talk to you about tonight. And one of them, actually, I did a training a while back called NLP phobia training. So this is all from that. So we're going to be talking about, I guess, a little bit about the swish technique, recoding, and I'm going to be also telling you how to do what they call a double disassociation. Ooh, double disassociation. So it's going to be kind of fun. Now, where does this kind of thing come from? You've probably seen this technique used, or similar techniques used, and didn't even realize it. If any of you have ever watched what was the name? Adam Sandler, The Waterboy. Okay, who's seen that show, Waterboy, with Adam Sandler? Go ahead and let me know. I saw it. Okay. The neat thing is, in this one scene, okay, Adam Sandler's coach, who was actually played by the Fonzie, the guy that played Fonzie in Happy Days. I can't remember his name offhand, but he was the coach, the football coach, and the coach of the opposing team, they're on the field, the coach of the opposing team intimidated him like crazy, made him scared to death. And Adam told him, he says, Coach, he goes, if he intimidates you, look at him and imagine him as something that's not intimidating. And Henry Winkler, that's his name, but just came back. So he's looking at the guy across the field, and he's looking at him. Of course, that guy's yelling at him. And at first he was intimidated. And Henry Winkler all of a sudden started smiling. He pictured the coach with a baby's head, a big baby's head, holding a rattle. And as the guy's yelling at Henry, he sees a baby with a rattle. And Henry all of a sudden starts going, Gucci goo, Gucci goo. And the coach is going, are you crazy? What's the matter with you? He looked at it so different. He completely reframed what he was seeing. So that is a similar technique that I'm going to be showing you tonight. How you can look at things and change them on the spot. So I'm looking for the comments, and does anyone have a situation like that? Because I'd like to do it live with you folks. Anything you're afraid of, just say yes. You don't even have to tell me what it is. Anything bully or meanie or uncomfortable situation, bill collector, IRS auditor, hopefully you don't have that, mother-in-law, father-in-law. Boy, you guys are the happiest crowd. No one has anything over here. But if you do, go ahead and let me know so I can see we're speaking to the right crowd. And we're going to go ahead and do it now. So if you like, if it's more comfortable for you, you can close your eyes as I'm speaking so you can see how it works. Or you could do it with your eyes open, but we're going to be using imagination. So imagination training, I guess you could say, like a guided thing. So the more you can imagine, the stronger it will be. So there's a couple different ways of doing it. So first, we're going to help you to change the way you feel about whoever intimidates you. Okay, so we're going to change the way you feel about them. So the way you would do that is, first I want you to get clear in your mind. Okay, you can have your eyes closed or not. Imagine the person or whatever the situation is. Okay, imagine that you're looking at them and they're looking at you in this intimidating way. Okay. Now we're not talking about a major phobia, because within that we want to do one-on-one, so I can make sure that you're not going through the heebie-jeebies. That's a technical term. But just someone that's a bully. Imagine them bullying you in that intimidating way. Okay. So as you're doing that, notice the negative feelings, okay, going on in your body as they're being negative. As you're doing that, you're getting that picture. I want you to imagine the whole picture now as black and white. Take it from color and imagine it as one of those old black and white pictures. And as you're imagining it in black and white, I want you to kind of move it far away, almost like you have a camcorder and zooming it out, or a camcorder. See, I'm showing my age. Almost like you're taking your camera, okay? So I'm taking a camera and I'm making it smaller and smaller and smaller. You're zooming it away further and further and further, making it so small that it doesn't bother you. It's away. You can still make out everything, but they're far away. So a lot of times this will be enough to help, but I'm going to take it a little further, which many of you that know me know that I always do. I got to take it that extra step, okay? So what I want you to do now is I want you to imagine this person as if they had a red clown nose. I don't have one here. It makes it sound like I always have one around, but a red clown nose, okay? And imagine them with a red wig, one of those bald curly wigs, so they look just like a clown. And as they're yelling at you, imagine them with a really high squeaky voice, kind of like a Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse. So they're talking to you really high. And if you don't know what Minnie Mouse or Mickey Mouse sound like, imagine them that they just inhaled a lot of helium and they're talking to you or yelling at you in a helium voice. Now remember, they're small, they're far away, they're with a helium voice, clown costume, and they're black and white. Now think about how that feels right now. Imagine yourself back over there in front of them with them looking like that. And do you notice the difference? You're going to notice that you're not intimidated by them. You might even be humored by the whole situation. You might even feel sorry for them or laugh at them, okay? So when someone comes up to you and does that, do that. Immediately make it black and white, zooming them out, making them, it doesn't have to be a clown, anything that would make them really funny. It could be a baby's head, it could be a clown noise, and sounding like a funny voice with helium. And it'll immediately change the ways you look at them. And Peggy says, my brother wouldn't be amused by this. And that's the problem. If they're the bully, who cares if they're amused, okay? I'm here to help the underdog, the one that needs the assistance. Now, that's just one of them. Now, the double disassociation, especially if you're dealing with phobias, a lot of times when you need to speak to someone, especially, in clinical type hypnosis, which I know a lot of the people that watch us are clinical hypnotists, it's hard to speak to somebody about their phobia because as soon as you have them imagine the phobia, they get really scared. And a way to take people away from being afraid is to disassociate them by taking them out of the initial situation, and it'll lessen it. So what you could tell the person is, I want you to imagine yourself in this scene right now with that person in front of you, that situation in front of you. So see yourself in that situation and imagine that you were able to float out of your body, almost like a spiritual being, and you floated out of your body. And imagine you're floating away from your body at a safe distance, and you're watching yourself in that situation. And already you're going to see the person, the wrinkles are going to come out of their forehead, and they're going to feel so much better because they're not right in the fire anymore. It's so much less, sometimes not even intimidating, when you're out of the situation, observing it. Now, if there's still a little stress, the double, when I said it was double disassociation, is to imagine that the body that, when you float it out, imagine you're floating out of that body and going a little further, and you're watching your out-of-body you watching the situation. You see how that works? It's like there's a situation, you float it out, and you're out of that one, and you're watching this one, watching that one. Another way of doing that is imagining you're on the screen, on a stage, or it could be a movie screen, but you're on a stage, let's say. It's easier because it's more physical. Imagine yourself on a theater stage, acting out the situation that really stresses you out. And now imagine yourself in the movie theater watching yourself on the screen or on the stage. So now you're watching yourself on the stage or the screen, and go one step further for the double disassociation. Imagine yourself out in the projector room, way behind, watching yourself in the theater, sitting down, watching yourself on the screen. Completely gets rid of the stress because you're not associated whatsoever. And as you're doing that, then you can do your exercises of making them look silly or slowing it down and speeding it up. In NLP, there's so many different techniques, but then you can work on the technique without the stress because they're away from it. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I hope that helps some of you. And those computer still seems to be going good right now, so I'm going to do one more, one of my favorite ones. In business, we run into a lot of challenges each day. Okay, some people call them problems. I like to call them challenges, and it's important to be bigger than your problems. So how can you be bigger than your problems? Someone comes up to you in your business and they're giving you a hard time. And sometimes when someone gives you a hard time, you tend to let it build up so much that you get stressed, and it gets a lot bigger and a lot worse than it actually is. And I'm sure you've probably run into that. So one of the techniques I like to do, I call it being bigger than your problem, is imagine the problem person in front of you, okay? And they're right in front of you, and imagine yourself getting bigger, physically bigger. And imagine yourself you're 10 feet tall, 20 feet tall, 50 feet tall, and you keep on growing and growing, and you're outdoors, of course, because you don't want to go through the ceiling. You're outdoors, and your head is going through the clouds and coming out the top, and eventually you get so tall that you're looking down, and that person is about this big. And think about what that would be like. Whatever the problem is the person had that they're giving you, when you can put the person that big, about the size of an ant, it changes everything. You realize the problem isn't nearly as big. It's easy to control. You can figure it out because it's so small now. Matter of fact, whenever I see these things on television, sometimes you'll see these commercials where a jet takes off, from the space shuttle, and it's getting further and further up and further up, and they get so far out into space, they show the Earth as this little blue ball about that size. You could, like a marble. And when you think about that, you look at the Earth and see how small it is from outer space, you realize how insignificant everything we're dealing with really is. It's our whole life. The problem is, it's insurmountable. It's all around us. There's no way you can get on top of it. But when you're way out there, you look and you go, I can't believe I let that bother me. Look at this world. Look at what's going on. Look how big it is. It's all so insignificant. And it helps you to calm down. And when you can calm down and relax and take a deep breath, now you can make good decisions, because you can't make informed, I guess you could say, original decisions in stress. Stress shuts off your frontal lobe. It shuts off your initial or your creative thinking. Everything goes to the rear brain, your fight or flight. That's what happens whenever you become stressed. So you can't have that creative thinking when you're stressed. You need to relax to be able to think creatively. So those are some of my favorite techniques. Go ahead and use them for yourselves. Be sure to share them with your friends and family and tell them about them. And if you'd like to know more about different techniques, how to deal with stress, exactly what stress is, and how you can overcome pretty much any challenge, We do have lots of training and hypnosis courses and home study courses and more than you can imagine at the links just below this video. So be sure you go down there, take a look. And these courses that we have aren't just to become hypnotherapists. Probably 20% of the people that take our courses are doing them to become hypnosis practitioners. The majority of them are doing them to improve their lives and improve the lives of their families and friends. Because anything you can do normally, you can do better with hypnosis. So I hope that helped. Like I said, be sure to share it with your friends, and thanks for watching.